welcome back to another video feature of the Immersive Worlds Handbook. Today I'm in San Bernardino, California at the Wigwam Motel that you can probably make out here in the background. I wanted to show you this specific spot here on Route 66 because it was the inspiration in part for some of the theming of Disney's California Adventure, their Cars area near Radiator Springs. So let me show you a little bit of this particular property. Okay, so we'll begin the tour here with some of the stills that I took during my visit here in San Bernardino to the Wigwam, which is actually number 7. So the story, and I encourage you to go, check out the internet for more of the history here, but the story is that beginning in the 1930s, a particular individual decided to open up a series of these you could call them teepee hotels, wigwam hotels. I mean, we won't get into the culturally incorrect nature, right, of the name or the theming here, which is certainly an interesting part of, I think, how certain cultures, in this case some Native American cultures, get represented by dwellings or material culture and so forth. But the significance of this hotel, and there are 2 others still surviving in Kentucky, and also the other one is located in Arizona. And I should mention that those 2, actually all 3, are listed on the National Registry of Historic Places, and so that's a pretty significant distinction. And I think when you see the hotel rooms here more closely, you'll see maybe why they are so significant and unique in this design sense, in terms of how they represent something that's quite exotic, I think, to most people who might stumble across these interesting places in the 3 different states in the United States. And as you're seeing these next few images, you're actually seeing the very small inside. You just saw a still shot of that, of the actual check-in registration desk. And so this is loaded with Route 66 memorabilia. Again, the location here in San Bernardino has significance in terms of that Route 66 location. Talk about this a little bit later when I discuss the interesting influence on the Disney theming at DCA that I mentioned earlier in my introduction. So you can see here some of that lore. There's a charming nostalgic side, I think, to a lot of Route 66 theming, as well as perhaps a bit of a kitsch side to it. You'll also find in San Bernardino the Juan Puello restaurant, and one of them has also there a Route 66 museum. So if you wanted to, and you're hanging out in San Bernardino, you could certainly check out some of the Route 66 lore that is part of the legacy of the Wigwam, not just this motel, but the many others that also were connected to this famous American route. And it's interesting to note that both this location and the one in Arizona have been significantly revived over the years. In fact, I read that the one in Arizona, when restoration was done, they tried to maintain a sense of authenticity by not including some of the modern conveniences of contemporary hotels, such as Wi-Fi, and I'm not sure about the television or not. And then the other interesting thing you could see here is that this is a historic sign from the location we're at, number 7, San Bernardino, that you can find in the back. And prior to the restoration, many people felt that the hotel had gone down a bit, and that people were just, using the rooms, not unlike, say, a Love Hotel for a quick tryst and so forth. So a lot was done to restore this location to its current standing, and for this fact, I think in the mid 2000s, the hotel chain was given an award for this restoration that was part of this attempt to connect back to the nostalgia and the history of Route 66 in America. And I thought you might find this interesting. This is the original patent from the 30s for the motel by Frank Redford, who established a number of these hotels. And you can see quite controversially today, you have the swastika symbol on there, which has been associated with many indigenous cultures, but of course has been taken to more unfortunate levels of symbolism because of the Nazis and the Holocaust. Okay, and here's some of the video I did shoot. My visit to the wigwam in the evening here. You can see the sun is starting to set, kind of dramatic look to it. It was a rather brief visit, and I did get a chance to go into one of the rooms just to take a look, and I didn't take any photo or video. The manager was really nice letting me in and allowing me to take a look. I will say there isn't any theming on the inside, so if you're wondering, to what extent is the inside Native American themed and so forth, it just has that feel of a fairly traditional motel, right? A motel being a roadside place to sleep. In this case, there's a bit of interest attached to it because of the unique structures here, and of course the significance, as we see once again, the Route 66 sign. So now I mentioned the significance of the Disney influence, and I think I mentioned earlier in the video that if you look at the Crazy Cone here, which is at Disney California Adventure, part of the new revived Radiator Springs theme land, I think I mentioned that the influence was from the San Bernardino location. I think purists would say that probably it was the Arizona location. But again, you might say, what's the difference? The point is, it's a very distinctive hotel in both cases, and it's part of the Route 66 lore. And you can see what they've done here, I think, is really cool in terms of establishing the iconic, they're taking the teepee instead of the teepee. They're maintaining that cone shape, and instead they're using the road cones, which of course comes also from the Cars movie. So that is then extended into the theme land, and I think Disney did a really neat job there in terms of reviving some of that nostalgia. And as you can see with the night images, using color and the distinctive shape as part of that connection back to homage being paid back to the Route 66 tradition of the Wigwam Motel chain. And I would say that in thinking about this influence on the Crazy Cone Motel and looking back here at the images of the wigwam, I think that there is nostalgia when you see a site like this. There's also, I think, a sense of loss, because we know that Route 66 is no longer what it once was, and as a result, I think you can feel a bit bad about seeing a site like this, because it does really indicate an earlier time. It's no different than looking at the images of old Las Vegas or going to Fremont Street and seeing so many of the traditional small casinos and attractions dying and being replaced by newer contemporary attractions. So for me, there's a sense palpable of loss that I feel when I see a site like the Wigwam Motel here in San Bernardino, California. Hope you enjoyed this video feature here at the Wigwam Motel. Please come back for additional video features of the Immersive Worlds Handbook.